we are at the Ohio State University kitchen with Amber Riggin, dietetic intern, and she's going to show us how to make some salmon dishes.
Yeah, we're going to start out with a salmon stick recipe, so kind of like what you might see in the frozen section of your store with a fish stick, a breaded fish stick, but it is a little bit healthier and then it's not fried, and it also includes salmon, so it's rich in your omega-3s, which you've been talking earlier, we want to get more of in our diet.
Right, we want to increase that fish.
We're working with a canned salmon, and you want one about the size of a soup can. And to eliminate any surprises, we're going to show you exactly what it looks like coming out of the can, because it's a little different than what you might see if you open a tuna can. Drain all the liquid out of it. If you have a strainer, you can use that too if you don't want to get your hands all on the fish yet, but you're going to have to, so might as well start early. Okay, and then when I dump it out of the bowl here, you'll see that it's basically just a couple of fishes stuck together. So you have the skin, you've got a couple little spines in there, so you got all kinds of little goodies, and you can actually eat all of that. So if you crush those bones with a fork or your hands, you can actually eat all those. Or if they are not very appetizing to you, you can take them out as well. See what I'm doing here? I'm just going to crunch those, and they just crunch really easily in your hand. Yeah. So you just mix that up, and you make sure that all the larger bones are removed, but the smaller bones will crunch right in there, and they're a really good source of calcium, actually. So you can mix those up and just use them straight in the recipe like that.
Okay, and this is one of those convenient items that we can keep stored in our pantry.
So if you want fish and you don't have time to go to the store, you can keep a couple of cans of salmon around, and that's one of your servings for the week. So we're going to make a salmon finger recipe if you want to help out with that.
Okay.
So we have 1 can of the pink salmon that we opened up earlier. And we're basically just going to have a really simple recipe that you can build on according to your tastes.
All right, sounds good.
So we'll start out by just cracking 1 egg in there.
Ooh, okay, we can do that.
Right, so we'll add that to the salmon. And we have a ½ cup of breadcrumbs. I used a panko style breadcrumb because they're a little bit crispier. Or if you don't have any breadcrumbs, you can make your own with toasted old bread. You can just put some bread in the oven and toast it up, and you can use whole wheat bread or whatever bread you have at home, and that'll make a nice breadcrumb. So we'll just get in there right with our fingers and mix it up. If you don't want to get in with your hands, then you can use a spoon, but this gets it incorporated a little bit faster.
Works well.
Yep.
And then you also, after you finish, we have some lemons over there. That's a hint we can have for rinsing your hands off with lemon, and that remove some of the fish.
Yeah, so you don't go around smelling like fish all day, right? All right, so as soon as it gets kind of a meatloaf type of consistency, then that's ready to roll into balls. All right, so we're starting to make our croquettes, or our fish fingers. And the recipe makes about 10 of this size. So as far as your servings, a child will probably eat 2, and an adult will probably eat 3.
Right. So this would serve a family of 3 or 4, and it's economical.
Yeah, really. There's not a whole lot to it.
No.
And you can just season it up and use whatever you have at home.
You could have also put some Parmesan cheese or something like that.
Some
the breadcrumbs again with a little bit of chopped parsley in them. And if we roll them a little bit here, we can catch it on both sides, and it's ready for the oven, right?
Oh, it looks very good.
Okay, and those are some homemade fish sticks. Boy, and we know what's in them, don't we?
Yep, yeah. Everything that's in them. There's no mystery. Now these are going to go in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. The fish is actually already cooked, so you don't have to worry about the temperature of the fish. You just want to make sure that that egg is cooked in there and that it forms a stick.
Alrighty. Good looking sticks.
Yes, very nice. While we're cooking those, we'll make a dip.
Right. Now, serving those homemade fish sticks, a dipping sauce would be great. And what we've chosen today is to do one that has a no fat. You want to tell them about the ingredients here?
Yep, Amber? We've got what you're adding there is actually a low fat mayonnaise. So it does have a little bit more texture than the fat-free, although you're welcome to use the fat-free as well. And that is a fat-free sour cream. And that gives it a little bit of a lighter texture. And then we've got a mixture of salt and pepper. Just a basic seasoning. You can add other spices in there if you want to. And also some fresh chopped parsley. If your family really loves tartar sauce, is just make a homemade tartar sauce at home by using your low-fat mayonnaise, a little bit of pickle relish, and a touch of horseradish.
That would be good. Or you could even use some sort of fresh vegetable and fruit salsa. And that would also be a good choice for a dipping sauce.
And that would add in some extra vegetable and fruit servings in your day, so that would be great too.
Right, and these can be served hot or cold, right?
Yes, they can be served hot or cold. They're good either way. You can add them to salads, or you can top off a pasta with it. You can crumble it over a pasta for leftovers. So they're very versatile.
Right. Here are our fish sticks.
Yes, they're all done. Don't they look tasty?
They look great. And that's a serving size?
Yeah, so we have 3 of the fish sticks. So if you are talking about young children, they might not eat 3. They might eat more like 1 or 2, depending on their age. But that would be an adult serving size. And that would give you your serving of fish for the day. Would you like to try it?
I do. I'm just going to pick it up like a stick.
Go for it.
All right.
And then we have our little dip here that you made.
All right. Let's try this dipping sauce.
I'll have to try some of that out myself.
Tell us about this fish that you bought.
Well, I bought that at the grocery store, actually, just today, and it came from the fish counter. So our frozen fish would be in a separate area than where you would get the fresh fillets, and there'll be somebody behind the counter there. So you had actually talked about how to buy fish from the fish counter.
Right, and some of the ways, the questions you should ask. When you get to that fish counter, find the fishmonger or salesman and ask that person when did they put the fish in the case? When did it come to the store? And then also ask, is it previously frozen or did it arrive fresh? You can find out if it was also farm raised or wild caught. Let me look back at this label here because I think this one says it was farm raised and it is trout. All right, and then look at our packaging. Here we have a fillet. All right, and this one has the skin on.
Yeah, most of your trout fillets you're going to find with the skin on. If you want to cook them without the skin, you can skin them beforehand, but it's also easy just to cook them right with the skin on and the skin will slide off at the end. One thing you do want to consider though is if you're getting your own fish, if you're catching your own fish, that might be high in contaminants such as a lake trout in Ohio do have some environmental contaminants in there. So if you're going to be cooking those, you want to make sure that you're looking on the seafood list of how much you can eat per week, but also you want to skin those before you eat them so the contaminants don't stay dry.
Right. A healthy way to prepare this, or one of the healthy ways, is to put it on the grill. And so what I'm going to do here with this trout is put a little bit of oil on it with my fingers, and then a little bit of seasonings for flavoring, and I like lemon, so we're going to dribble a little bit of lemon on it. All right, and then we can put it out on the grill. Now this is a handy device for the grill. You might find one of these at a garage sale. That's where I found this one. We can put it inside, close it on up, and then this could go out to the grill, and we could grill the fish.
We have another cut of trout, the same one that you showed us earlier.
Right, to grill.
And so we've actually skinned this one, and this just makes it a little bit easier for even the novice to cook. That way they don't have to worry about the skin being on there. But you can cook it the same way that you had it earlier without taking the skin on, and it'll slide right off later on.
Alrighty.
So we'll start out with just a spritz of lemon juice.
Right, here's that my favorite, lemon again. Could use lime, couldn't we?
You sure could, you sure could. And we'll sprinkle on some Cajun seasoning. And this is actually a seasoning that I just made out of some items in my pantry, but you're welcome to use one of the packaged seasonings that you can buy as well. They're just a little bit more expensive. So we'll sprinkle on some of the panko breadcrumbs.
Or you could have something with even fresh dill. I always like fresh dill.
Yes, and you can always sprinkle that on at the end too. So if you have a plain breadcrumb, you can add your own herbs in there to season it up. And I always like to help make the breadcrumb stick, just to pat it in there a little bit. Otherwise it all falls off at the end. Okay. And then I'll have you flip that over. We're going to season both sides.
Flip it over. Whoa! Here we go. Wait, first the lemon. Now push them together a little bit. Okay, there we go. Oh,
go. And sprinkle with some more of the Cajun seasoning. You can use a lemon pepper or even some kind of chili spice.
Or a milder one.
Or a milder one, like a basil or an oregano.
I like thyme, and I do like that. I like oregano too, fresh. And basil, of course.
We'll go ahead and bring this right over here. And we have a medium-sized skillet that I put just a little bit of cooking spray in. You can also use just a tiny bit of oil, but you don't want to use very much. If you have a non-stick pan, you shouldn't need to use very much oil. And we'll just stick it right in there. And make sure your pan is preheated to a medium temperature, and we'll just cook it for about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. So I have been sauteing some red onions and green peppers for our trout, and to that I'm just going to add 1 diced up tomato. And this is a nice garnish for your trout, but also helps you get in an extra serving of vegetables. So this finished cooking up in the pan, so you can see that the breadcrumbs are toasted on top, but the fish is actually cooked through, and the way you can tell that is by trying to flake it.
Let's see if we can tell here. Oh, look at it. It flakes very nicely. Okay.
Good.
All right.
And you'll have that with any kind of fish, so it could be a trout, a fatty fish like this that is a pinker in color, or it could be a white fish as well. So you'd be doing the same flake test for it. A little Parmesan cheese.
Ooh, we're going to put some right against the fish.
And that will help it melt in there.
Right.
So you can have our vegetable mixture that we just sprinkle right on top. Give it some color.
Hey, that looks great. And what else would we serve this with?
Well, you can add a rice or as a side dish, or also a nice salad, some bread. Really just about anything will taste good.
Alrighty. Now, a serving size. What would be a serving size here to get our 4 ounces?
Well, believe it or not, this is actually 2 4-ounce servings of fish, because the fish servings you get at the behind the counter tend to be pretty large. So when I purchased the fish, I got 2 fillets, and they were each about a ½ pound.
Alrighty.
So each one you can cut into 2 servings, or
cut it in half. We would eat part of it today, and then the rest of it I could put in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow I could eat it cold on a salad at
that
work.
would be very good, very good.
And that would meet my 2 servings a week of fish.
See, that easy. Very easy. And it wasn't that expensive, since it only cost about, a pound was $7.99, and I got just a little bit under a pound. So that is 4 servings for less than $8.
Right. And so it's a lean protein.
But full of your omega-3s and very versatile as well.
All right. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.